Hello and welcome to Just a Moment with my very special guest today, Dennis Horton. I am Kristen Harding. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Kristen.
Hi, Dennis. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
39 from the U.S. from Florida, Northeast Florida. I have come a long way in my spiritual journey, as does everyone else. Um, I have a lot of broad knowledge base, a lot of different subjects, and I enjoyed watching your interview with a couple other people, and think it would be cool to come on here and kind of share some of my experiences and some of my gnosis.
Well, we're very, very happy to have you. Where would you say you, there's just so many questions I have to ask you. We all begin a journey. And in one of the interviews I saw you in, you explained that you hadn't gone through the traditional indoctrination from our schools. How did you become so well versed in all of these subjects that we're about to talk about?
So some of my background, like you said, I excelled early on in school, and then as I got older, I lost interest in it. I actually dropped out in the seventh grade originally. Um, all of my understanding of stuff just came from being a seeker. I always like to tell people that I'm a hole without a bottom. I'm very deep, and just when you have a feeling like you're looking for something. That's what I feel like most people have. You're on this path and you're on this world and you're walking around. You're trying to understand yourself and the world around you better, and that's what led me to to finding the real truth. And I studied religion at first. I studied a lot of philosophy, psychology, and just being an earnest seeker of knowledge. And it's looking under all the rocks.
Well, I like that, a seeker, because I was going to ask you if you consider yourself like a truther or a seeker or a sage or a mentor or a teacher. How would you describe yourself?
I I don't like to describe myself in any kind of way because I feel like terms are limiting. But a lot of people call me a shaman, um, and but being a seeker of truth. But the thing about truth is that all truths are but half truths, and that everybody's truth is valid. And whether it's contradictory to your own, that it's still theirs. And once you open your up to that, and to realize that you don't polarize yourself to such having like opposition as much. So it's just being a seeker of truth, and just going out there and learning and living. Experiential truths are the most powerful ones.
What would you say the most important lesson that you've learned so far is?
Oh, that's the question. Um, to the most important thing that in my life that I've learned is to have positive outlook, and it's not so many times in life that you have the chance to there's something that's unknown. You have this unknown thing. We have the option to fill it with something positive, or we have something to fill it with something negative. And I've come to learn to program my mind to fill it with positive things, to find the good things. And the the best tool I've learned is just gratitude. And once you realize, man, to even wake up and have a bad day is a good thing. To have the opportunity to have a bad day is a beautiful thing. And once you can, if you can find the beauty in that, when you can find the gratitude and even the tough days, every day is beautiful. If you trip down, if you trip and fall and scrape your knee and you go, man, I'm lucky I got legs to get back up, and you get back up and you keep that attitude, your day will be better than 90% of the other people in the world.
Right, because you are putting action into how you feel. You're
Mm-hmm.
not just letting the thoughts get away from you.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah.
I like that a lot. And I agree 100%. We can bemoan our circumstances or we can change them.
Yeah.
We can say, why is this happening? Or what is this teaching me?
Mm-hmm.
I like the what is this teaching me?
Yeah, exactly. And it takes some work because you're preconditioned usually to think in a negative kind of way, and to look at the negative thing and let it drag along throughout the day. But once you can mentally transmute these things into positive, It just becomes everyday choice. You just do it automatically. Once you get into the subconscious mind, you don't have to try.
Do you think that there are outside influences that try to, shall we say, influence our thoughts and make us feel less than happy so that they can uh, feed off of our negativity?
Yes and no. So the reason I say yes and no is that kind of how I view the world to be is that there's only this one thing, and that one thing is God, and we are all parts of that one thing, of the psyche of God. So when people are always saying they are doing this, these are parts of yourself that, because every thought, every word that we speak has a seed, and we don't realize when we're not awake and conscious of our actions that we're planting all these negative seeds. We've caused all this negative things in the world around us, and there are parts of us that we may they might not register as us, but they're still us in the long view of it. So there are parts of our psyche that are unhealed that will continue to test you in a lot of ways. But do I think that there's a negative, terrible force out there that's trying to cause us, the devil and stuff like that? I don't believe in that. I believe that these are negative experiences. Like I said, the most growth I've ever had in my life have come from after negative experiences, because your negative experiences are just catalysts for change in your life.
Yeah.
They're just, you're doing something that's not really who you are, and you have to have that pain, you have to have that negative experience to learn from it. So once you realize that there is no the negative forces, they're working for your in your power too. Everything's here to make you be better if you can learn to see it that way.
All of these adventures, all of these parts of the journey that we experience, in my opinion, is what we're here for, to report all of these experiences back to the Creator.
Hmm. I agree. Because
I I don't know how much starseed information you have, or if you believe in them, but I the negative there is how do I say this? There's a belief that there are negative reptilian beings in human form
Mhm.
that will try to um, block the light of the brightest lights, I guess is the way to say it.
Yeah.
Have you encountered anything like that?
Yes, I have. So I have an ex who she was narcissistic. She had a lot of childhood trauma. And first I want to say that I don't think there's really any bad people. Kids,
Mm,
there's a childhood trauma that's going around. Sorry.
Thank, oh, I think we lost you for a second
Okay,
there.
you're good. I don't know why there's music playing right now. But there's no bad people. They're just hurt kids, and there's just this childhood trauma that they have unhealed. So my understanding of what the reptilian is that we have genetic memories. Our DNA hold the memories of every ancestor that we've ever had, and the let's skip that up. So, okay, so in this genetic memory, we've had encounters with reptiles, we've had encounters with snakes. So we have this, and there's things that babies are inherently scared of, and they don't know why. They've never had experience, but they're scared of snakes, because we have this genetic memory. So we have our mind, our fight or flight, um, takes people who are vibrating lowly, and we projects it to us as a reptilian. So they
I
don't
have to
necessarily.
pause you. I'm sorry, I have to pause you just in case that's a copyright issue.
Okay.
Is there music that you can
Yeah,
turn
I,
off?
I think it's, so. It's my aunt's birthday, and she's trying to. I tried to call her earlier, and she's trying to call me right now. I tried to cancel it, but I don't know. Let me see.
Well, happy birthday to your aunt. I'm sorry about
Yeah,
that.
I don't know why it's. I don't think she's calling anymore, but it's still going.
Hmm.
I have no idea. Yeah, because I don't think she's calling anymore. I don't know how to cut the sound either.
I'm not hearing it now.
Okay, I still hear it on my side, which is weird.
Well, actually, now I do hear it. Yes.
Did
And
you want to try to hang up and come right back at it?
uh, we could, yeah, why don't you go ahead on out
Okay,
and
I'll
come
come right
back
back.
in,
All right,
and I'll just talk to the audience for a second.
I got you.
Thank you. Well, guys, this is what happens when you have a show, and sometimes, we have interference, especially when we're using our phones as a method and a means to be able to do a show. So, um, we are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by, and as soon as I can get our wonderful guest Dennis Horton back into the studio, and I believe he's here now, so just be a moment at your stage. There we go.
All right, I'm back.
Yay!
So we were talking about the reptilian thing,
Right?
external forces. Um, Again, I don't think there's anything external. I think all there is self, and I think that the things that we would appear to be the reptilian are just lower consciousness of people that are projecting. And that's how our mind is able to perceive it, because we have these genetic memories of these encounters with reptiles and snakes and things like that in our past, and they just manifest that way. Um, and again, but the way that I understand the world to be is that this is all this projection of the psyche. So that's why you have the mantis people. That's why you have all the avian people, the birds, and you have all these things which are local to here. But this, there also is a place in the mind, like an egregore, where they have a place where they've evolved to be something other than what they are here. But I don't think there's anything external trying to cause our downfall. No, it's all ourselves. And when you live your life, realize and go, man, I'm the one that's hindering my growth. That you're taking your power back. You're not going, oh, it's this external force outside of myself that I have nothing to do with. I have the power to change it, and
I
that's
like that.
that's empowering.
I like that a lot. I also notice that when we speak to ourselves, like we talk to ourselves, that we need to be very positive when we're doing that, because if we're beating ourselves up, we are actually doing ourselves a disservice.
For sure. For sure. It's just when people don't realize this, like I try to tell my friends and everything, I know I can be a bug about it, but sometimes when you give yourself such an absolute, like things say I can't or I won't, and they go no, you say I haven't yet. You have to, you can't put a cap on it. You can't put an absolute on anything, because you're closing yourself off to a potential.
I always say, I believe there's an answer, I just haven't found it yet,
Yeah, and that leaves it open ended to where you can get it. You're entangling yourself with the possibility of that answer instead of cutting yourself off to it.
right? And it's worked every time.
Yeah.
It's just wild. So, do you believe in reincarnation?
Yes, but not in the traditional sense, because a lot of people, when they think reincarnation, they're still understanding it in linear time. Like, I die, I'm this person. I think that reincarnation is I am literally you right now. I'm having a conversation with myself at a different point,
Right.
because we're stuck at looking at time linear, but time in itself is happening all the time. Time is already complete, past, present, and future. So for all intents and purposes, yes, I believe that I'm going to be somebody else, but I'm going to think that I'm everybody simultaneously. All there is the one. So my understanding of karma is that every time you've hurt somebody, you've hurt yourself. Every time you've helped somebody, you've helped yourself. And just because you can't see it through their eyes yet, that's where free will comes in, is because you're going to know what it was like to feel everything that you dealt. Your whole sphere of influence, you're going to feel it from every perspective, because they are you. You just don't get to see it all at one time.
I like that a lot. I am a Doctor Who fan, and he has had regeneration after regeneration after regeneration.
Mm,
And he keeps part of that knowledge of each regeneration, but he's a completely new person.
mm,
And if we look at it like that, where it's not like, oh, in 1865 I died and I was reborn in 1963. No, but your oversoul, or that essence of you that retains the knowledge,
mm.
has gone through time and has gathered more information each and every lifetime.
Hmm.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I totally agree. And if you think about it like the shape of a pyramid, your oversoul would be the point of perspective at the top, and it's seeing all the ones below it, and it's funneling the information up to itself. That's why when you're in alignment, because you don't, it's not about trying too much. It's this weird flow state that you have to be in, to where you're not trying too hard, but you're not caring too much. It has to be this flow state. And when you're in the flow state, you allow that energy to move through you, where you don't have to try. You just trust that it's not you. There's something greater than you moving through you, and it takes care of you. And once you get stuck in that vibe, it's, man, you see magic everywhere.
Exactly. Um, Attitude of gratitude.
Yep.
It allows so much to come back to you.
Mm-hmm. You just have to let it. You have to stop fighting it, and you know, saying, because I mean, let's be honest. I don't really know what's good for me. I know what kind of food I should eat, but to say that I know what will solve my problems, oh, I just need money. People, oh, I just need this, and they don't realize that's not what you need. There's something greater than you that knows what you need, and if you just allow it, it's going to give it to you. It's going to come right to you.
Like we were talking about before, what is this teaching me?
Yeah, exactly. And if you just change your perception of, oh, life's happening to me, oh man, why, and you realize, oh man, it's teaching me something, what can I learn from it? That's a whole new perspective.
And it sets up, for me anyway, it like sets a boundary. If I don't want to feel like this again,
Hmm.
then don't do the things that led up to feeling like that.
Yeah, exactly.
My my husband has a saying, if it hurts when you do that, don't do that, right?
Right. Yeah. That's what I tell people all the time is, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, that's on me.
Shame.
And that's, if you can't, once you realize that when somebody reveals who they are, and say it's a relationship or whatever the circumstance is, if you've experienced it once and you've already revealed itself to be that, and you continue to put yourself in a situation to relive it, then that's not on them. You can't even blame them. You can't even be mad at them, because once the snake reveals it as a snake and it bites you, why are you going to be mad at it?
Right?
Yeah.
Kind of allowed yourself to get too close to the snake.
Exactly. You already knew. It's a snake. It already told you.
Yeah, you cannot change the nature of things. That's something I've learned, you
Yeah.
know. You can
And that,
hope the best for
mhm.
people, but you cannot change them. They have to change themselves.
Yeah. My mom always says you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And you can plant seeds in people all the time, but they have to water it. And change, real change, comes from within. That's why the best teachers, they don't tell you what to think. They allow you to come. They'll tell you everything but the thing, and they'll allow you to come to that truth yourself. And that it holds so much more value to you when you have the aha moment for yourself.
What do you think your mission is?
Um, my mission is, I feel like I'm here to help people find themselves. And I feel that is what people don't realize it, but that's what everybody's mission is. And they're just their part in it is different. And, I just, when I first woke up, and I'm not fully there, and I've had multiple awakenings. Every time you think you're there goes, wait a minute, here's a bunch of stuff you didn't think that you knew. And it keeps happening. Um, but it felt like at first it was a burden. But I take that, but first I used it for selfish reasons. First I used it, my charisma and stuff like that. I was a sexual deviant. I was using it to, women and everything else like that. And the universe punished me for it. And then after that, where I was going with it. What was the question again? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know it was a tangent.
What do you think your mission is?
My mission. Um, so, and then after that, you just, I just, to be a better me for everybody else. And the more that I come to understand is that there's 8 billion people out here. I can't help all of them. There's too many pieces of the fractured psyche outwardly to help, and that the most work that I can do on a daily basis is be a better me. I can work on me every day. I have the power to control that. And that, to me, I think that service to self is the real service to others. And by being a better you, you are, because as above, so below. So you literally being a better you will cause it to be a better world. And people don't see that. People are too busy going around judging people, going, they need to, again with the they, when it's all in here. It's all in here. And just to be a better me, and to my discernment has taught me who to pour my cup into. And when we're talking about the reptilian thing, what she taught me was that I was pouring my cup into somebody who couldn't hold it, and I wasn't using my discernment. It taught me the boundary that I needed to learn to
Right.
protect my energy, because being an empath, I want to help everybody. I feel so much all the time, and but what that does is it leads you to be manipulated, lets you be lied to, and put you in these situations. And when you realize, okay, you still want to help people that are in the capacity of receiving it, but you also have to help yourself. And it taught me the balance in life, is was what it's taught me.
We
Yeah, I just want
cannot
to help
help
people.
we cannot help anyone who is not ready for it.
Yeah.
Even if they ask us for help, if they're not willing to do the work themselves, it's like pouring all that love and knowledge and energy through a sieve, through a colander,
Yeah.
because it
It
won't
rolls.
hold.
hmm Totally agree. So that's another example of how one of the most negative experiences I've had ended up being the biggest growth, because the pendulum swing to the left is equal to the pendulum swing to the right. And what it did is, it taught me something. And like, again, I found the lesson in it, and it changed my life.
Sometimes people come into our life just to teach us what we don't want.
hmm Yeah. Did I tell you the story about the old man at my job?
I don't think so.
So I went to prison for trafficking marijuana. I get out. I get 3 years for trafficking marijuana. I get out. I get this job at this restaurant. I'm there 5 years. I end up managing it. This old man walks into the restaurant. He's a 75-year-old. He's a black man. He walks in wearing a Vietnam veteran hat. And I ask him, being part of the military, do you?
Oh, you just faded out.
So he goes and he sits down.
Oh, wait,
And
wait, wait. We couldn't hear you. Could you repeat that? Are you talking? I'm not hearing you. Uh-oh.
okay, what was that?
I cannot hear you.
You can't hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, good.
So
Thank you.
you walked up to a gentleman in a VA hat, is what we heard, and then what happened?
Okay, yeah. So he came to the counter at the restaurant that I was working at. He was wearing a Vietnam veterans hat. And I asked him, being part of the military, do you trust our government more or less? As a question I asked all the military people who came in. And he started laughing, and he said he has some stories he think I'd like to hear. So he went and sat down, and I got his food. I went and sat down in front of him. This old stranger, 75-year-old man, looks me straight in the face and says, "So was it DMT or ayahuasca?" I said, "Excuse me?" He said, "Was it DMT or ayahuasca that caused your spiritual awakening?" I said, "It was DMT." And I talked to this stranger for 2.5 hours like I was speaking to God. He just Mr. Miyagi me the whole time. And at one point, you know, he's speaking to me, and everything that I can conceptualize, he's revealing to me that he knows in ways that I only know that he would know. Um, so at one point, he starts laughing, and I said, "What's so funny?" He says, "This is the universe playing a trick on me." I said, "Why?" He slapped his arm. He says, "You're white, but you're Hebrew." And he says, "You have to." He says, "There's a war going on," and he said, "You have to." He said, "The people that you see around here aren't like you and me." And he says, "Look," he said, God or the universe has a predestined path for you that leads to the highest expression of yourself." And he says, "Every time that you have made a choice that wasn't for the greater good for you or for others, God didn't want to hurt you, but He wanted to course correct you. So He bopped you on the head, not to hurt you, but to get you back on that course, because there is a course that's God is so intelligent that it has a path for you that's already made. You just have to align yourself with it." And he said, "You have to trust your intuition." Um, and that moment, that interaction, and I already thought I was awake, all right, but that realization changed my life. And it made a big aha. That was one of the aha moments for me. And that's what I was talking about with people, is that most people know what they really need to do, but most people don't want to look at that, have an honest reflection of themselves, because they have to do the work. And
Right.
sometimes people are scared to do the work, because they have to change their life, they have to change their decisions. But I promise you that the universe or God or whatever source or all, whatever you want to coin it, is so intelligent that no matter which path you go, it leads to the same place. Just one road's bumpier. And how much suffering do you have to go through before you realize that there's an easier road ahead? You just have to align yourself with it. And usually that's following that little voice, the inner voice in your head.
When I'm in meditation or I'm praying, that's one of the things I ask for, is to keep me on Creator's path, not my own, because He already knows how to get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
And I just have to float along.
Mm-hmm.
I have to do the work,
Yeah.
but once the course is set and the sails are up, the wind will blow.
Yep. And that's the thing. It gets easier and easier. So you don't have to. It's not a manipulation when you're being your authentic self. When you're living in that good spirit, you don't have to try, because it's just you. It's a trust. It's that middle space.
Yeah, I like that. I'm seeing the old fashioned ships that had the sails,
Mm-hmm.
and how many of us have had a bumpy journey because we didn't let go.
Yeah. And again, that goes back to what I was saying earlier, is that who am I to really think that I know what's good for me? There is something greater than me that knows what's best for me and knows what I need. And I have, we have this limited perception in this body. We have these limited senses that we can see, but there's something that's higher than us and has a greater awareness that sees the things that we don't. That's where you have to trust it. It might not feel like it's the best thing. You might think that you want something different, but something out there knows.
I totally agree with you. I have a silly question for you.
Go ahead.
If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Hmm. I lucid dream a lot, and I love to fly in my dreams. So um, I say that, but that's again. So that would be for myself. To help others, it would be the gift of healing, physical healing, and I do believe that's real. I think I think how the world works around us. I kind of feel like this is heaven. Everyone's heaven, and it's whatever. That's why free will exists. Is that whatever you can conceptualize is what it is. That's what magic is. That's the power of belief, and that you know all of these things are possible if you just have the hold it in your heart and you believe it enough. So that's why your people's realities are different. And the people who believe in the bad stuff, they're gonna see that, because that's the free will choice. And that's why we're all here, is to see what I think the whole purpose of the experience is to realize what we aren't and to find out who we are. This is a path of identity.
Right? And to create, shall we say, um, a path different than the one we've been on.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
To make those choices to be different than we were last year or 10 years ago or 20
Mm-hmm.
or 30,
Yeah.
because we are not the same people that we were,
Moment to moment.
right?
I'm not the same person when we started this conversation. You're not the same person. We've grown just in this little bit of interaction, and I just want to thank you, because these kind of conversations are a very intimate thing, because I don't know how many people you have in your life that you can share these kind of things with, but there's a lot of people who don't have this type of trust and intimacy, and they can't. There's a lot of people who might have the same feelings or experiences that we have, but they don't have a tribe to share them with. And to me, that's a hard thing. So I just appreciate you creating this space for us to be able to share.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
This is the reason that I had the idea for the show, is because everyone has a story. They just don't always have a place to tell it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to create a safe space for all of these amazing stories that people, I believe, are telling 100% the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they are extraordinary. I've had, including you, I've had a shaman, a mage, a prophet, two UFO contactees, a Wiccan lady. I mean, I've had every kind of person that we can think of on the show, and they've been wonderful.
Yeah.
They've been amazing, and everyone has had a story to tell.
Yeah.
We are actually at the half an hour mark. Oh, and you're getting a
Stop.
call.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go to the break, and we'll be back in 4 minutes.
Okay.
Welcome to Crystal Cove and Mystic Charms, where magic meets the mundane and the extraordinary becomes every day. Are you ready to gift yourself with the whispers of ancient power stones? To the feel and hear the echoes of our ancient past? Dive into a world where each pendant tells a story, where rare stones hold secrets known only to the universe itself. At Crystal Cove, our collection isn't just jewelry. It's a gateway to a realm of mysticism and wonder. Let the shimmering opal guide you through twilight dreams, or embrace the fiery energy of the sun with our exquisite amber pendants. Each piece, handcrafted by the hands of a true mystic who understand the language of the earth and the fire of one's heart. At Crystal Cove and Mystic Charms, we believe that every soul deserves to sparkle. Whether you seek solace in the calming embrace of amethyst or wish to dance with the vibrant hues of turquoise, our collection holds the key to unlocking your inner magic if you allow it to be so. Visit us today and discover the pendant that speaks to your soul. Crystal Cove and Mystic Charms, where the beauty of our amazing earthy realm meets the magic of the cosmos.
Hey there, Hunter. Go check out our friends at Colorado Custom Game Calls. They are all about creating a high-quality, custom, unique game calls at an affordable price. They are here for hunters that can't and won't pay upwards of $180 to $200 per game call. They pride themselves on giving their customers the opportunity to not only purchase an affordable and high-quality call, but to customize their game call to their liking. So listen up and go check them out. That's www.coloradocustomgamecalls.com. They got calls for all type of game, and all the game calls can be custom made to your own likeness. That's www.coloradocustomgamecalls.com. Tell them Matthew sent you from the Matrix Minds.
What is up, all my beautiful and gorgeous souls? I am Michelle Espinosa, otherwise known as the Shaman, through the Matrix Mind Media. So tell me, how many times have you wished that you had that special power of prediction? You know, to know what was going to happen before it actually happened and took place. To have some power and control over that situation before things came flying at you out of left field. The thing is, you actually can have that power. You can be aware of what's coming. Tune in to Astrology TV with me for Breaking the Cage every Sunday evening at 10 p.m. Eastern on the Matrix Mind Media. And I will go through the astrology and help put you on the right course and get you back in control of your own life. Love you guys.
This CBD fluid is a whole flower fluid extracted from the cannabis flower. We don't use any heat, butane, or chemicals when we extract, so we get all of the components of the plant. All the CBD, CBG, CBA, all the terpenes, all the flavonoids. This allows our body to absorb at 60 to 90% rather than the average of 6 to 10% absorption you would get with a CBD oil. Because our bodies are made up of mostly water and this is a fluid, it's highly absorbable so that you're getting 500% more nutraceuticals per dose. We also have this available in our CBD spray as well as a muscle rub with all kinds of botanicals. You're going to absolutely love it.
Check it out, Brainiacs. MatrixMinds.live/CBD. CBD I use. Feel free again. Feel alive again.
And we are back to Just a Moment with my special guest, Dennis Horton. Welcome back, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. So, what is your happiest memory?
I have so many of them, and there's almost once a day that like I cry for joy, and it sounds cheesy or whatever, but like, man, I could be riding in the car and a song come on, the sun going down, and just I get this feeling of just overwhelming happiness. But just laughing with my kids, I have so many memories of laughter and just rolling around and playing with my kids, and there's just a feeling in that is nothing better that I've ever had. It's just being perfectly content in the moment. But every day there's a feeling of overwhelming joy because I like to think that I'm a good guy, but realistically, I'm just a self-aware piece of shit. I'm self-aware of being a piece of shit, and every day that I can, now that I'm aware of it, I can do my share to be better. And I got so much in my life to be happy for. I get so much grace in my life that man, I have more than I feel like I deserve, and it's such a overwhelming feeling of happiness when you can sit in that moment and go, man, look at everything. I get to wake up and to do this. I get to wake up and be around my kids. I get to wake up and interact and breathe and listen to music. And there's just so many gratitude just overflows all the time.
Have you had a near-death experience?
So I've used DMT a lot, and so I haven't had a traditional near-death experiences, but all the studying that I've done with DMT is that those blast off experiences with DMT and DMT experiences are exactly like. So I've died a lot of times that I feel,
Yeah.
but not a traditional near-death experience. No.
The reason I ask is you've attained a maturity and a level of seeking that usually doesn't happen unless you've had like a near death experience or something just, opened your mind. And so you just kind of let us know that for you it was DMT.
Yeah. So what what originally? So the first time I ever heard about it, I watched Joe Rogan, The Spirit Molecule, and this was 15 years ago. I watched it and I called everybody I knew. I said, hey, nobody heard of it. I called one guy and I found it and I tried it. And the first thing that I said after experiencing was, um, it's all connection. It's all connected. Separation is the illusion, is the first thing that came to me. And then it disappeared. I couldn't find it again for 2 years. And then I found it and then it disappeared again. And then I got tired of it. I learned how to alkaloid extraction. So I learned about it myself, and I started using it on a regular basis. Well, I was abusing it, not using it for a spiritual sense, but just using it for the, oh wow, the hallucinations, the visuals part. Um, but after a month and a half for using it on a regular basis, I would have no effect on me. I would smoke DMT and nothing would happen to me at all. No visuals, no body feeling, anything. The only thing that would happen is I would get this stuff that would dump out of my sinuses into my mouth. And I spit it out and it looked like sand. Um, so I would spit it out and I'd go rinse my mouth out. And that happened for like a month. Every time that I would smoke DMT, nothing would happen, but this stuff would dump out of my sinuses into my mouth. And then after that stopped happening, I just started getting intuitive downloads of things I never understood before. I just had a knowing about everything. And so I theorized I decalcified my pineal gland. Um,
You
and
reconnected,
yeah, so and I cleaned up the gunk that was up there. And
right?
after doing that, it's just I stopped listening to music with lyrics. As my daughter's walking. Come on, Coach Man. But hey, shut up.
Somebody wants to be on the show.
Right. My daughter's home. But so after that happened, I just started knowing all these things, and I would be sitting there all of a sudden. I dropped out in the 7th grade. I wasn't intellectually where I am at now. I wasn't spiritually. I grew so much, but I stopped listening to music with lyrics because I realized the power of the subconscious mind. I realized what the programming is and what they're trying to do and how they're doing. I just became aware, and it's like it changed everything about me. And I really give so much of that to that. And I kind of had a bootleg cheater way. I didn't realize what I was getting myself into, but man, it changed my life and changed the life of so many people around me through me. And I'm so grateful for that to teacher. And that's what it is. It's your pineal gland is literally an eyeball. It's wired to your visual cortex. It's got rods and cones. There's water in it, and you have DMT, which is a neurotransmitter in the same chemical line as serotonin, dopamine, melanin, melatonin. So you have these. It's also piezoelectric. So if you were to take DMT and bash a hammer on it, it will flash different colors. So you have this neurotransmitter that's crystalline, suspended in water. It's picking up on waves of energy that are moving through us all the time. So it's picking up on interdimensional energies because, as we know, like a tesseract is a shape, is a fourth dimensional shape that's is a box that contains all boxes. So you're able to perceive these other interdimensional fields or higher realities through this eye, through the inner eye.
I am a fan of A Wrinkle in Time, and that was my first introduction to a tesseract.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that it was described, see if I can do this one-handed, is if I'm just going to hold this here for a second. There we go. And if we were to try and go through time and space, it would take forever to get from this point to this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what happens if we are able to fold space and time? We can just walk from here to here.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the best explanation that I've ever found for a tesseract.
Yeah.
And also a tesseract can act as a black hole.
Yeah. So I've studied higher dimensional geometries, and like my understanding of it is if you were to take, you can't really envision in 3 dimension what a tesseract really is because we don't have terms to understand it, but you can project it down into the dimension below. So imagine if you have a cube and you cut a cube up, and you split it up, it will look like a cross. If you lay it out flat, it would be a cross. Well, a tesseract, fourth dimensional cube projected down would look like a cross, almost made of cubes. So my understanding of it is you have one box that contains all boxes. So one physical dimension that contains all dimensions is what the tesseract is. That means right now, here and now, all possibilities, past, present, and future, exist right here where we are in this physical space. It's vibrating at different things so we can't perceive it, but it's still here. And that's also how it's like reflections. Like here's my little tesseract. You know,
Oh, cool.
gives you, it's just reflections of the one
Beautiful.
thing. That's at least how I see it.
That's gorgeous. I
Thank you.
love the colors.
Yeah, thank you.
You also make organite for your friends, right?
Yes, I do.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, I got into it.
There's so much ancient knowledge that we are rediscovering.
Mhm.
And isn't the whole concept of a pyramid and an organite pyramid especially is to generate that power?
Yeah. So my understanding, even just the shape of a pyramid, is copying the shape of a vortex. So if you have energies that are hitting this geometry, it's going to concentrate at the apex, which creates a transformation of negative ions to positive ions, or vice versa. And with organite, which is also what the pyramids were made out of, this quartzite crystal, which is piezoelectric, because so I had a download on crystals one time. I'm just sitting there, all of a sudden it's like, boop, I know everything about crystals. So I started looking into it. Now I understand about the crystal lattice. So what makes a crystal is a repeating atomic pattern. So you have atoms that are stacked in a certain kind of way and they repeat. Well, you know how crystals are always vibrating, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's because literally light hits this atomic pattern and gets stuck in it. So what makes the crystal vibrate is light being stuck inside of it. So the piezoelectric effect is when you beautiful is a beautiful wrap. Is when you stress
Nothing but those.
the structure of the crystal, it becomes asymmetrical and it releases the energy stuck in it, and it comes off like, the electric lighters that have the click in it.
Yep.
There's a piece of quartz crystal in that, and when you
Right.
push it and stress it, it releases the energy that is being stuck in it, and that's also how your aura can interact with it, because all your aura is an ion exchange between your body and the environment. So you have this crystal, which is literally catching and absorbing, which is catching and absorbing the energy. Is the arc is catching and absorbing the energy. So you can place your intent to a crystal because your light is interacting with it, and the crystal will hold it. And it's the same thing for information. Every type of electronic is using silicon, which is a crystalline structure. It's the same thing. It's a repeating atomic structure, so it holds information and also transmits it. So that's what the organite does. Is it's catching the energy, the energy that's in the air, the microwaves, the radio waves, the Wi-Fi, and it's transmuting it and creating a field and projecting that field away from you. So it's a form of protection against fields that are outside of it. If that makes sense.
No, it does. It
Okay.
does totally. You explained it beautifully.
Thank you.
What would you say would be like what I'm going to ask is, do you have a message of hope for people right now? Because a lot of people have told me, and myself included, that they have been feeling anxious, that they've been feeling all of the anxiety in the world and the politics and all this other stuff. Is
Mhm.
there a message that you might have for the audience that's positive and full of hope?
Well, first, my advice is to turn off the TV, turn off the radio, and if you're living in the now, 90% of 100% of people's anxiety comes from the future or the past. So if you're not living in the now, you're going to experience this anxiety of what's going to be or what has come or what has already happened. But if you really look at yourself and you're honest with yourself and you have this reflection with yourself and you go, man, I'm breathing, I'm alive, I'm usually in a safe place, things are usually really good. And if you live in the now and you have gratitude for the now, everything works itself out. It's just come back to where you are right now.
Mhm.
If you feel anxiety, if you feel like you're losing hope, ground yourself with your breath. No matter how bad the world is, no matter how anything, you have control over that. And just big intentional breathings, man. They've done so much for me. And if you think that the world's out of control, come back to what you can control, and that's your sphere of influence. Come back to that bubble and realize, man, you have so many things. Look around you. Look around you in your life. Look at your dogs. Look at your pets. Look at yourself in the mirror. You know, every time you have a meal, be live in gratitude. And you know, there's so much hope in the now, and it can look daunting in the future. There could be look like, oh man, there's so much the politics and everything, but get your mind out of that, because you know that's outside of your control. Come back to your sphere of control and what you have, and just realize that you have more things in your life than you could count to be happy for.
Exactly. And I was just telling a relative this. No matter who is in office, whether we want them there or not, let's just concentrate on the good that they can do, because Creator will find a way to do the good.
Hmm.
There's no stopping the universe.
Yeah. And I just want to tell everybody too is just, you know, to be conscious of the seeds you put out there. I was saying it earlier that what magic is and what everything is, that whether you're conscious of it or not, you're manifesting all the time. And that's the thing, is that you every thought that you have, whether you act on it or not, it has a seed that goes out to the world. So when you get angry, you might not act on it. You might have angry thoughts or whatever, but guess what? This goes out somewhere and it has a place in somebody, and it has a thing in it. So you know, just be careful with the seeds that you plant. You got to be self love cures everything. In my experience, the hardest part for people is to love. I'm great with other people. Most people are great with other people, and they're great at helping other people. But oftentimes, we don't extend the same grace to ourselves that we do other people.
We
And
forget about self-care. You're
mhm.
right.
And it's, you know, it's a lot of times you have to come back and, you know, the same kindnesses that you give people, the same grace, the same mercy. You know, everybody's so hard on themselves all the time, and sometimes you got to be softer. You got to be kinder to yourself and be saying the same kindness for yourself that you do others.
Do you know what I call that?
What's that?
Soft eyes.
Yeah.
Look at yourself and others with soft eyes. And when you do, it is amazing the changes you make.
Yeah.
Consider that, the person that's like having a bad day, and you don't know why they're having a bad day. There might be something really serious going on with them. Cut them a break.
Mhm.
Maybe somebody will cut you a break someday.
Yeah.
Just pay it forward.
You know, it's so damaging to the idea of self. You know, people have this idea of the role of who they should be, and this idea of, I have to be like this. This is the standard for my life. And these expectations of yourself are doing you so much harm all the time. And you have to realize that you're
Exactly.
just doing the best that you can. And like, I had this realization thinking about a parent. You know, you think about the role of a father, and you have this idea of what the parent should be or what they should do. And here I am, 39, with kids of my own, and I realize I'm just doing the best that I can. And when you realize that, man, your idea of what they are and what they should be and how they disappoint in your expectations, you're the one who caused it by that expectations. And you realize everybody's just doing the best they can. You know, you have to hold that space for them. And when you live in the space that I feel like I am you and you are me, and being an empath and being psychic isn't really reading people's minds, it's being so emotionally intelligent that I can see myself in other people. I know what it's like to be there, and I have then I can give them the grace that I didn't have when I was in that situation.
I like that. And that is what I strive to be. I strive to be the person that I needed when I needed help.
Yep. And as it goes outwards, it's a ripple outwards that we don't even see. The smile that you give a stranger, that could change their day, that changes their energy, and you don't even know what a ripple that does for everybody around you. And if you could just stay in that space, stay in that vibe, and continuously put it out there, it comes back to you. You're not losing anything by smiling and being kind to people. I promise.
There was an incident that happened back in May. I was going to the dentist because I was being good and I was going to get my teeth cleaned.
Mhm.
And this lady that was there, she was having a tough day. I mean, a really tough day. She was yelling and screaming and pitching a fit. And everybody in that room was just so freaking tense, right?
Mhm.
I walk in and she looked at me and I looked at her and I smiled. And she decided it would be a good idea to go outside and take a breath for a minute.
Yeah.
And so, to this still quite tense room, I looked at the receptionist after the lady had made it outside and I said, "Somebody needs a hug."
Yeah.
And the entire room just cracked
Lighten it
up.
up. Lighten it up. Yeah. And it's
And
humor.
I
Humor is a
realized,
great tool. That's a great thing that you did. Yeah.
well, it made everybody feel better and everything went back to normal. And that lady came back in and she had a totally different attitude.
Yeah. Humor sometimes just lightens everything. And, when everybody gets feeling so heavy like that, just sometimes all you need is the laughter to let it out and you just reset the whole room just without even really trying. You just being you was enough.
And it was totally accidental. It was like intuitive. It wasn't planned,
Yeah.
but it happens to me all the time.
Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing about being you. And then, people like us who try to stay in that positive place and to be that light. We're shining all the time anyways. You might as well get some of it.
Well, I was just happy to help, and that's where I'm at. I'm reading the Book of One.
Yeah.
And so when you said service to self or service to others, I feel like I was always in service to others, but forgot about the self.
Yeah.
But now I'm at the point where, in service to others, I realize that that is a service to self.
Hmm. It's a balance. Everything's a balance. And, it's just, you have to weigh and balance everything in your life. And, you can't, to me, and people get on me all the time because I don't really think that there's a difference between good or bad. And they're like, what do you mean? I think that if you go absolute good and absolute bad, you go killing in the name of God, killing in the name of the devil, these are the same spirit. These extremes are both bad to
Right.
me. And you have to find a balance in it. And it's that middle path. That's that narrow way that is a personal thing. Or a sin is a personal thing. To me, I don't think that if somebody was trying to hurt my family, if I had to hurt them, I don't think I've sinned. If my family was starving and I had to go steal some fruit from somebody's property to feed them, I don't think I'm gonna be punished. And a sin to me is it's a very personal thing. It's of what you know that you shouldn't have done, the thing that doesn't sit well in your stomach,
Right.
and
Right.
it's the good and bad to me cancel each other out. It's the little decisions that you make. It's the wars in the head. It's the little battles that you make that you know that you shouldn't have done, which have the ripples that cause everything. So
I agree. And I think a lot of us need to stop beating ourselves up because we have made it through a war.
yeah,
We literally have made it through a, dare I say it, let's just say the last 4 years,
yeah,
you know, and whether or not that will have long-term consequences, I believe there still will be a way
mhm,
for people that had to succumb to those draconic measures,
mhm,
will still be able to heal from that and still be connected to source and will not be turned into automatons by the material inside of said jabbity jab. So,
yeah. It's crazy because I tell people all the time because I think that the world is just one big mind, and so we're this one psyche, and the people that you're talking about, like the automaton, like the NPCs, they are just running on base programming. They haven't individuated themselves yet. They haven't become the observer of self to break off and be different. But it doesn't mean, I'm not special. You're not special. We're special people, but everybody has the same potentials, and that's the thing
right.
is that They just you have some people have more love than others. I think that's what it is. I think you had more love than other people. I think that I had more love than other people do, and sometimes you got to be the love for the people who didn't have it. And you have to come in and step in and consciously do that for people so they can have the chance and be the potentials that you have.
Well, I knew that when I was younger, I felt unloved, and
Mhm.
I wanted to project so much love that there was never a question about, is this a loving person or not?
Mhm.
I have been told that it just manifests.
Yeah.
And my little brother even told me that I can give him a hug over the phone. And to me, that was like an accomplishment because that's what I wanted to be. That's who I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
like Mr. Santa Claus, if you believe in egregores.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it seems like you've done a great job embodying that energy. I've listened to your music, and you have a great voice. I enjoy speaking with you, and you have a glow about you, and I appreciate what you're doing, and you can tell it's coming from a good place.
Oh, thank you. I hope you will come back and join us again.
Sure.
And we're almost at the end of the hour. It goes so fast.
Usually does.
Is there anything that you would like to leave us thinking about for the audience?
My tip for anybody listening is if you're not where you want to be, you can change it. And to get to where you're going, the first thing you have to do is you have to observe where you are. And sometimes in life, if you just take, okay, 2 seconds, I'm going to breathe, and now I'm going to observe where I am. To become the observer of self, it opens up so much potential because to fix the problem, you have to understand what the problem is. And people are patterns. We're all patterns. We do the same thing every day. We probably put our shoes or pants on the same leg first every day. We don't even realize it. And if you want to make a change in your life, become the observer of self, and then you start seeing the things that you can improve. And I'm not saying that anybody's broken, because I truly believe that we're perfect, whole, and complete, right where we're supposed to be at all times, even when we don't know it. The process is perfect. We might not like where we are in the process, but if we become the observer of self, we'll get there much quicker.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in the observer part of my life now.
Yeah.
I'm over 60.
Mhm.
I'm a grandmother. I see so many different, I guess the way to say it is that I see things so differently than I did in my 30s or 40s or 50s. And it's like what I was talking about earlier. If we could all just try to look at the world with soft eyes, I wonder where we would be.
Especially when we're looking in the mirror.
Right? Well, that is all for now, dear lights. Thank you so much for joining us. Never forget that you are amazing, you are loved. Be well, be safe out there, and I'll see you on the next show. Dennis, I hope you'll come back again.
For sure,
Bye.
anytime. Bye.
Bye.